everyone a welcome in. Let's do a summary of the quadruple four murders in Idaho. Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Madison lost their lives. For what reason? What was the motive? Who did it? All questions that we need answers to. And with that, let's get into it. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Kaylee, Goncalves, and Madison Mogan were at a local corner club at 202 North Main Street in downtown Moscow between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th, 2022. At approximately 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street and used a private party for a ride home from downtown to arrive at their residence at 112 King Road around 1:56 a.m. Investigators have determined that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were seen at the Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive. At approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana were believed to have returned to the residence at 1122 King Road. And I know that there was previous reports that Ethan was actually residing at the 112 King Road. However, it was determined that he was only visiting. So, Ethan did not live there. Detectives believe that on November 12th, 2022, the two surviving roommates had also been out in Moscow community separately, but returned home around 1 a.m. on November 13th, 2022. The two did not wake up until later that morning. On November 13th, 2022, the same day, the surviving roommates summoned friends to the residence because they believed one of the second floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. At 11:58 a.m., a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call was made from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones inside the residence. Multiple people talked with the 911 dispatcher before Moscow police arrived at the location. Officers entered the residence and found two victims on the second floor and two victims on the third floor. Autopsies were conducted on November 17th, 2022. The Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the four murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated the four victims were likely asleep. Some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of SA. So what is it that we are dealing with here? Do we have a serial killer? Is it a murderer, stalker, a stranger, somebody they knew? When they speak of it being a targeted murder, was it targeted as the house and the four of them, or two of them, or even Xana and the boyfriend woke up? Like, we just don't know. I am absolutely shocked that there has not been an arrest yet. There's some rumors going around regarding a masked kid being seen on a ring cam. We will go over all that new stuff later. We also have to remember the situation with Xana's mom. Arrested in Arizona, allowed to go to Idaho, drug charges. We hear from the taxi driver that it's a big drug area. So if it was not targeted, if it was not a crime of passion, what was it? If I had to decide between a mass murderer and a serial killer, I would have to go with it definitely and hopefully not, but being a serial killer. Serial killers is a person who murders 3 or more people in a period of over a month with cooling down. Now, I know this was done 4 people in one night. There's such a big missing piece to the puzzle. Then we have the neighbor. But see, also with serial killers, each victim is usually at a different location. But Danny Rollins, of course, had the couple in Gainesville, the boy and the girl. There's a lot of similarities. And then we have a lot of profilers, retired law enforcement, saying that it's a young male and that they have probably not committed a crime before this. I don't know. Is it the same person as the couple that was stabbed and she survived and he passed away? The neighbor walking the dog and looking up in the windows? I want to hear your thoughts so far on what you think and who you think may be the perpetrator in this horrible, horrendous, senseless crime. Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. Let's just say that this was or is a serial killer. Currently, there are 4 main types of serial killers: visionary, mission-oriented, hedonistic, and the power control serial killer. And they're based on the motivations for carrying out their crimes. The hedonistic killer might kill for his own sexual gratification. On the other hand, a visionary killer could murder people because he believes that God is telling him to do so. And then we have the mission killer. Organized, plans his crimes, does not suffer from psychosis, targets specific group of people, kills quickly and efficiently, typically avoids a close contact. Well, that might have to rule that out considering that it was a blade. The lust killer. Ours tortures, mutilates because it gives him a sexual gratification, fantasizes about violence, can find it difficult to control his impulses, prefers close contact, will use knife or hands instead of gun. Starting to sound like if this is a serial killer, he might be multiple attributes of the 4 together. The thrill killer, the act of murdering someone excites them, enjoys the hunt, and gets off on his victim's terror, often feels inadequate and powerless, loses interest with the victim after death. I am thinking, since they were all in bed, that after the first person was stabbed, I think is when the other 3 woke up. As for the 2 on the bottom floor, I do not know. Even if they had earbuds in and they were sleeping, how they could not have heard something like that unless they were bound and they were tied. But we also know the police said that that was not the case. And let's not forget about the comfort killer. Kills for the sake of money and wealth, will often use poison, avoids close contact. Their murders are a means to an end. They won't take pleasure in the kill, can wait a long time between murders. Most female serial killers tend to fall under this a comfort, a profit, a category. If a woman becomes a serial killer, then it is likely that her main motivation for killing is money or wealth. And this is why criminal profilers will often predict that lust, thrill, and power serial killers are male. The power control killer seeks to gain control over his victims, wants to dominate them, has feelings of inadequacy, petrified of rejection, calm, meticulous, and patient, may keep souvenirs of their victims. Out of all of the 4 types of serial killers, I am going to have to go with it being a power control killer. Dominating their victims, the power control killer, and taking away their lives, it gives them a feeling of empowerment. They often tend to be organized. Although the power control killer may sexually assault their victims, this is not done for sexual pleasure. Unlike lust killers, the power control killer uses assault as a tool to exert power and control over the victims. It is the act of dominating someone and taking away their choice that gives them a high. The power control killer may continue to control his victim even after the act of the murder is done. He may return into the body and mutilate it further. He might also engage in necrophilia. The act of keeping souvenirs that remind them of their victims is also common. The killer could take photographs of his victims and keep pieces of their jewelry. will definitely get into this further. But with that, it is a wrap. And make sure you drop your comments down below.